Okay, so in this video I'm going to show you how to finish the waistband near the zipper. And just as a refresher, you should have ironed the waistband with the seam towards the inside so that when I flip it right side out, what you'll technically see is it'll almost look like there's no seam edge up here, right? It will just be nice and flush, and then the seam is more towards the inside. So that is how it should look. Alright, now in terms of finishing this part, basically what you're going to do is you're going to encase this zipper top in that piece of fabric, making sure that it continues the fold that it was already doing, right? Doing that, and then we've got to work backwards. So I want this to be flush, right? I want it to look like this. But in order to get there, I don't want a seam line on the outside. So I realized that there's this flap that goes on the inside, and so let me show you again. Put that there, put this here, fold it downward. I want this to be flush with the zipper, but I don't want a seam line on top. So to look this way, I'm gonna hold it, I'm gonna grab a pin, temporarily try and pin it in place without pinning the top layer, and then I'm gonna fold it inside out. And I find out that it gets sewn, and this probably will be easier if your skirt is inside out also. Basically, I learned that this waistband is going to get sewn. I need to start over. Okay. Grab, continue that folding from the zipper, fold this, fold it down right along the zipper, pin just the underside without grabbing the top, and then I open it up while it's pinned, and it reveals to me that it gets sewn right there. Okay, right here like this, but I also grabbed too much fabric. So, I hope this makes sense to you. It might not, but let's try one more time from a different angle. That might help a lot. Okay, I'm gonna put this one out of the way. Gonna make sure you can see what I'm doing. Okay. This zipper fabric continues folding. Fold this one to be the same. Fold that down right where the waist is. I want it to end up here, but I don't want this top layer fabric to get pinned. So this is how I want it to look in the end, but I don't want a line on the outside, so I gotta flip it inside out to see how it's pinned, how it's sewn on. It basically gets sewn on right there. So I'm gonna see if I can keep it in the same place, but just I don't want all that layer of fabric just a little bit. Repin. Okay. So that flap gets sewn right here. I hope that made sense. It's tricky. So when I go to the sewing machine, I'm just gonna sew it. Did this bottom layer get pinned? It's basically, I'm basically sewing that at 1/4 of an inch. It's basically this flap gets extended out 1/4 of an inch. And then I want to see if I sewed it right here, continuing this line up the zipper up to this corner, if that would be perfect. So I'm going to test it out with pins. I really don't know how to put this into words very well. I apologize. Okay, so now if I flip this right side out, it's perfect. It's going to encase, well, there's a lot of bulk in here, which I will show you how to get rid of, but ideally it'll be a sharp corner. There will be no line on the outside or this side. It's right next to the zipper, and there's room up here for the hook and eye. So that is going to work. So I'm going to sew that right there. So you're going to have to play around, do the back and forth trick, probably. Oh, I got to make sure this zipper piece stays on the inside when I sew them together. Okay, you're going to have to just work backwards with this trick. One trick I want to show you is if you're tired of this, this top of the zipper being kind of flapping around, I just unzipped it and I just finished this line of secure stitching that I did, which is not related to the line of stitching that attached the zipper, though I do highly recommend that after you had done the attaching the zipper stitch, that you go back in with just one of those narrow feet and just add a line down here. But now this won't move around when I'm trying to do the technique here near the zipper. Okay, so I finished one side, and yes, so I did the whole working backwards thing, and I figured out where to sew it. And you want to sew as close to the teeth as possible, so use that number 4 narrow foot. So I sewed right up next to the teeth, and then that way when I flip it inside out, it's nice and close to the teeth. No line of stitching on either side. The other thing you can do to help reduce some of this bulk now is you can do a diagonal cut near the top corner, and then you can trim off this excess, and that'll now it'll fold even better. Yeah, nice sharp corner like that. So this is how you want the top to look, and then I'll show you the hook and eye next. Alright, so I finished on both sides. I got nice and close to the zipper without actually going on it. It still functions. But you notice there's a gap in the top. And also, I don't like how much my zipper here is bulging out. So I might... it's probably too late. This one is better, how it's tucked in. This is kind of more what it should be. And the last step you need to do for the waistband is put a hook and an eye. So this is a hook, right? It has a little hook. And this is the eye. and the hook goes on one side, and it, you know, as it describes. Oops. Let's see if I can. So that's what it would do, right? The hook on one side, the eye on the other. You'll need to hand sew these in. If you can, get them kind of a little bit in the fabric. It's preferable, and you want the eye usually towards the inside. So a hook on one, eye on the other, hand stitch. You could have also done this before the whole folding technique, and then in that case, if you wanted to do it before all this folding stuff, then you would just need to place it, you know, about 1/4 of an inch up from where the zipper stops. Sew them on first, and then you can do the folding technique. So that's pretty much it for the waistband, and the last video is going to be about the hem.